What's up, YouTube family? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, back at you tonight to jump into another lake breakdown. That's right, tonight we're actually going to be focusing on Lake Belton. That is just south of Waco, just east of Belton. It is an awesome, awesome lake to fish. It's one of the prime lakes in Texas, and we're going to break it down tonight. Stick around, got some good stuff for you. Before we jump into Lake Belton, the first thing we need to do is go out to the Texas Park and Wildlife page and check out their fishing page. This is something that I always do before I go out and do any of the lake breakdowns. So let's go take a look at it here. The location is on the Leon River in Bell and Coryell counties, about 5 miles northwest of the city of Belton. So if you live in Texas, you've probably heard of Belton Lake. It's a very popular lake for fishing here in the state. Especially down south of DFW area, around that Waco area. Conservation lake pool level is 594. Fluctuation is 3 to 5 feet. So there wasn't a ton of fluctuation on this lake, but there was enough fluctuation and enough things that we could see from the imagery where I think you guys will really enjoy the waypoints that we were able to collect here. And then as far as aquatic vegetation, it says that it's very sparse, buttonbrush and cattail. Predominant fish species, largemouth bass, smallmouth bass. So this is a rarity in Texas, smallmouth bass. Channel and flathead catfish, white and hybrid striped bass, and sunfish. Go out and take a look at the lake records. The largemouth bass, I was actually surprised, is 13.97. That was caught back in 2017. With a jig and a rage crawl. So pretty cool to know that there is big fish in there. I always heard that you could catch a lot of fish in here, but you don't catch a lot of big fish. And apparently there are some pretty big fish in here. Also, if you look at the smallmouth bass, 6.43, that is a big smallmouth caught back in 1999. All right, so let's move this back. Let's go down here and take a look at the angling opportunities. We talked about the largemouth bass. That is good. And the smallmouth bass here is rated for excellence. That is super, super cool. Of course, you can see all the other things that are here as well. Talks a little bit about fishing cover and structure here. They did put some habitat structures out there. And so what we did is we downloaded the file and we included that in the waypoints that you'll see when we switch over here to Google Earth. And then if you go down here, it just kind of talks about tips and tactics for largemouth and smallmouth bass fishing. So that is pretty much it for the Texas Park and Wildlife page. Let's go ahead and jump over, go to Google Earth. Let's start breaking this thing down. Well, here we are on Google Earth. I'm going to show you how I have this broke down over here on the left-hand side. Let me maximize the screen here. I'm going to scoot this over just a little bit. Doesn't make it bigger, but to me, it just makes it a little bit easier to see. You can see that I've got this broke down by a couple different categories. The first one is going to be the Texas Park and Wildlife fish attractors they talked about. There were 4 of them that were there, those habitat structures we just talked about. This is where you can see them right here. There's one there. And then there's a couple more out here right off the, the edge of this little point here. You've also got channels and ditches. So quite a few little channels and ditches going throughout this lake. You can see here, have several of them that are marked here as well. Really the purpose of this is to be able to set your boat up, position your boat correctly on these creek channels so that you can catch more fish. So you'll see these as tracks out there on your devices, your fish finders and things like that. And you'll be able to actually set your boat right on that track and know that you're right on top of that creek channel. So there's several of those that we're going to talk about as well. And then next would be rock. There's tons of rock on this lake, obviously, but these are different types of either rock formations or unique rock, just anything that may be different, that it is where it is rock, but it's something unique about that rock that I pointed out for you. You've also got different kinds of laydown and wood and brush and stick ups and all kinds of stuff. So I just labeled it wood. You've also got cover, additional cover that's out there as well. So let me uncheck this. This is like tires and debris, just all kinds of stuff that we found, pipes, just pretty much anything that we could find that looked like something different on the lake that looks like it could attract fish. There's lots of good stuff in this lake. And then finally, last but not least, the ramps. There are quite a few ramps on this lake. If you've never heard me talk about running the boat ramp pattern. I'm telling you, it's an effective pattern to run. I'm not sure how well it would be on Belton Lake because Belton has so much rock. So rock and concrete's kind of, it's not special for this lake whatsoever because it has so much of it. But I still think that that boat ramp pattern would still be a good pattern to run on this lake. It would definitely be worth giving it a try. All right, so with all of that being said, let's go ahead and jump in here. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over. And then I'm going to go up to the top where it says history, and I'm going to pull this back to 2015. So I'm going to go all the way back to 2015. That was when the lake was really, really drawn down. You can see here, actually, that did not give me the one I was looking for. Maybe that's it right there. 2 of 2015 is going to give me my best little image here. Now, just like we always do, we always start at the dam. We work our way east, which we can't really go east, and then we go north. So we'll go north, west, east, west, just like this whole entire lake does. Looks like an awesome, awesome lake. Unfortunately, we didn't get a chance to go fish state this year. If we would have, the Texas High School Bass Association actually had their state championship here. So let's go ahead and start down here on the right-hand side of the dam. And let's just kind of talk about what we find here. So first off, some really good rock around the dam. You guys have heard me talk a lot about go to the dam. That's where a big population of fish live. There's a lot of bait fish there, everything usually. Well, the dam looks pretty good because it has all the riprap, but this side of the dam, for whatever reason, has some really unique rocks, a little bit chunkier rocks, stuff like that. So definitely go take a look at that. As we move up here and we get into the first little cove, again, I told you I was going to point out the rocks. So you're looking more for this lake, it would be more like transition areas or places where the rock is a little bit different. Maybe it's bigger, chunkier rock as opposed to like gravel, stuff like that. So for this example, if you look at it, this rock is totally different than everything else in the bank line. Everything else is pretty smooth rock. And then all of a sudden here you have this really big chunk rock. The other thing that I really like about this is if I zoom back, you'll notice it's right off the edge of a point. So I really, really like the way that those rocks set up on both of those areas. You've got a boat ramp back here, and then if we get way far back into this cove, you'll see right in here, you've almost got these rock piles, I guess you could say. So if you look here, again, looking on the bank line, there's not a lot going on, right? Just that kind of there, it's definitely a hard bottom, but it's not big chunk rock. But if you look right here, it's almost like a big rock pile. Well, that's where they're going to attract to. So you definitely want to look there. I also like that because that could be a really good stopping spot for them as they come in here. They can set up and stop on the little rock pile before going way back in there. Also, if we move a little bit further back, you kind of just see the same thing. It's just a different kind of rock back here. It's just a lot bigger, a lot chunkier. A lot of little creatures and stuff could live in there. Definitely a good place to go look. And that cove looks pretty deep too. So you might have some pretty good depth back there as well. All right, so let's go ahead and pull out of there. And what we're going to do is we're going to swing up here across the point. Of course, all the points are going to be good. You definitely would want to fish those, but I just didn't see anything there I could mark for you guys. And we're going to move in right here into this second cove. And the first thing that I saw really when I pulled in here was that we've got some standing timber that's out here, and it's very isolated. So right here, a nice little group of isolated timber. It looks like you may have something here, but I couldn't really mark it. So there could be a little isolated patch there. And then there's more over here as well. So you've got a really good set right in there as well. And if we move up here, let me zoom out, kind of show you where I'm at. Go back in here. If we go in here, we've got some laydowns that are back here. So you can see those. Got one right there, another one right there. And then again, you got the standing timber that's over here too. So kind of, place. And really, there's another thing I didn't even notice there. This looks like it could be an old roadbed or something, possibly. Something's going on here. You can see where it comes up a little bit right here. And there's a really good hard spot right here where it has some bigger, chunkier rocks. So this area right in here, I could see that being a really good area to go fish. Again, a good staging spot, a good spot for them to come in and rest before they go in and rest when they're coming back out as well. So definitely a good spot to look at. As we get further back inside of the cove back here, we've also got, again, that just those areas of rock where it starts getting a lot thicker, a lot big, chunkier rocks, things where they can actually set up on and hide behind. So here's some pretty good rock here. And then you've also got some of that same stuff back here, a little bit farther back in the cove. Now, obviously, that's going to look totally different if you're there now because the water would be up to pretty much a normal depth. But what we're looking at is back in 2015, and for whatever reason, actually 2011 looks pretty rough as well. Look at that, gives us even more to look at, which I didn't even notice that. I don't think I even had that when we were breaking it down, but definitely got some good laydowns there. Got a good laydown here, some good brush. There's that rock I was telling you about. It's got even more good stuff around it. Really like that. I'm going to pull off this image though because it's way too bright. I can't see anything. There we go. All right, moving it back. So pretty much the same thing. We might have to switch back and forth to that 2011 because we may be able to find some additional stuff. As we move over through here, I didn't see too much, but we do have a boat ramp over here. This is Arrowhead Point Park. And I did mark here that, excuse me, it appears that there might be some sort of a ledge here. It's kind of hard to tell. Let's draw that back to 2011. And now you can really see that there's a ledge there. And the reason why I know is because you can see the shade. So this setup right here, if you position your boat, set up out here, somewhere in here, and cast this way, obviously it's not going to be like right there, but you know what I mean. Set up your boat this way and cast parallel to that. Set up to where you're parallel to that, so you're casting here, right in there. That is going to be a really, really, really good spot. Very good potential for a fish to be there. So moving down from that ledge, now you have the boat ramp, and this boat ramp looks really good. If you look at it, it's got some really good rock right along the side of it. It goes pretty far out here. You can see that it goes out here, so you probably have some pretty good drop right in here. It just looks like a really good boat ramp to be fishing. So let's keep on moving down here, and we're going to move around this point. I didn't see too much around the point, but again, points are always great places to fish. I'm going to move this back up to 12 of 2012 just so I can get a little better image and see what's going on here. Now, as we move out here, again, another really good boat ramp. This one's isolated a little bit too. Look, there's nothing around it. And then all of a sudden you come here and it's like its own little point that sticks out with some good riprap on both sides. Again, really, really good place to find some fish. All right, so then we're going to keep moving up here, going now up to the Belton Lake Beach. Let me zoom out and show you guys where I'm at. We covered these two coves, and now we're right here, right off the tip of this point that's up here. If we pull this out, there's actually some pretty good stuff out here. Let me draw this back and show you guys. So when I go back to 2011, 10 is not going to work because the water was up by then. All right, 2011, you can see there's a really good hard spot right here off the edge of this point. I could see that just being a really good spot to find some fish. And then if you move over here, it looks like there's an old foundation or something going on here. There's a big lot of concrete. You can see it comes all the way up here, but just some kind of debris that's right off that point. So anytime you get a hard spot like that, off of a main lake point like that, you know that that's going to be a really good spot to go take a look at. All right, so we're going to keep moving up here. We've got another boat ramp right here. All these boat ramps look good. This one's just like the other one where it sticks out. It's got really good riprap on both sides. Moving up here, we've got another boat ramp. This one doesn't look nearly as good, but you definitely have one here. What I like about this one is it's probably going to be completely submerged or pretty much all the way. So let's see if it is. Let's go ahead and just move this up. So right here, you can see it doesn't have a lot of rock around it. So again, what I was saying is it doesn't look like a really good boat ramp, but if it gets completely submerged, that changes everything. I guess it doesn't. It gets pretty well covered. So you definitely want to check it out. It's probably not as good as some of the other ones that we just looked at, but definitely one you might want to just go by and scan, see if you can find anything out there. All right, so let's keep moving up here. The next thing that I noticed was right here. There's some really good timber that's all right in here. I don't know what this stuff is here, if this is a pipe or what it is, but you can see the stick-ups right there. You can see them better, I think, in the next image. Nope, you can't. Sorry for switching back and forth, but that's the best way to get the image. Now, right down here again, you've got a really good little timber line. Starts right here, goes all the way down through here. That looks really, really good. That's right off the edge of that, right past that boat ramp right there. That's where that timber line starts. It's right in here. and you've got a lot of it right in through here. You can go in here, you could flip jigs around there, all kinds of good stuff. That is a really good area to try to find some fish. And then as you're moving down that bank line, the one thing that I really want to point out, you guys have heard me talk about it a lot, but look at the shade line that's being created on this bank line. It's really, really good. Those trees are actually in the shade. So I really like how that sets up. And then if you look over to the right, you'll notice where it says rock, there's a big boulder there in the shade. If I zoom in here, you'll see it. There's a big boulder that sticks out. So now you've got these stick ups or timber, whatever you want to call it. And then you've also got a nice big boulder there as well. And you've got a nice shade line that's created at some point in the day. So you definitely want to go check out that area. You've got that shade line all through this whole bluff. You've got some more timber that's over here as well. You can look at, you've got some timber in here. It's not as defined. It's kind of more scattered here. That other spot I showed you earlier, over here, it's very well defined. I mean, you could literally fish just the outside edges of the timber. I think you could have some success there, and it kind of just lines this whole thing right here perfectly. All right, so we're going to go back up here. We got some more timber over in here. Obviously, just different areas. If that's the pattern, that's going to be, you're going to have plenty of it to fish for sure. As we move further up here, we do have some more things to look at. We got a pretty decent little laydown that's right in here. You can kind of see it. It's just so bright. It's hard to see everything. I'm going to move this back to 2012 so it doesn't hurt my eyes looking at this. So we're going to move on up here. And now we're into Tanyard Branch, I believe is how you say it. If you look in here, I didn't see too much on the shoreline really that we could pick out, but there's a few things back in here that we were able to mark. One is if you get way back in here, and I could see this being a really good area for them to dive back in here and spawn. But you've got laydowns back in here, some really good laydowns. And then as you move further up, you've also got some more of that timber that we talked about. Of course, if I draw this back to 2011, there's going to be a lot more. Some really thick timber all in this area you could flip around. Pretty good laydown right there, too. I didn't notice that before. I'm going to draw this back to 2012. We're going to move down here, and now is where you can kind of see where that creek channel is. And you got a really good laydown in here. You got some good laydowns there. If I move that back to 2011, you'll really be able to see that creek channel. So the creek channels on this lake, it's kind of hard to see them because this lake is so deep. By the time you see the creek channel, you could probably visually see it as well, especially with the water clarity. So the creek channels might not be as big a deal on Lake Belton, but it's definitely something that will help you at least know that, hey, there's creeks back here. This is a feeder cove, things like that when you see those tracks. So let's keep on moving up. We talked about that timber there. Up here, it appears that there may be some sort of a ledge here. So I went ahead and marked it. And the reason why I was thinking that looks like there might be like a little creek that comes in here. But it just looks like it gets really sharp right in that area. Let me see if 2012 might give me a better view. And this is why I think that. So you can kind of see it here. Just you can see it's almost like a bluff wall right here, and it also has some pretty good shade as well. So again, this area right in here, especially depending on the time of day, if you can hit it in the time of day when the sun's going to be providing, or when you're going to get the shade from the sun, that's the time of day that you definitely want to fish that spot. All right, so let's move on up here and let's take a look at this other stuff. Again, another one of those little ledges I was telling you about. You can see it here. Now, this is a very small ledge, but it's a ledge, and they'll be able to scoot up against it pretty good. So you definitely want to try it out and just see if there's anything there. You've got another boat ramp that's back here as well. And just if you're curious where we're at Morgan's Point Resort Marina. So if I zoom back out, what we've done is we've basically gone in these two coves, and then we've moved around here, and we've moved our way up here to Morgan's Point Resort. And so that's where we're at right now, or Morgan's Point Resort Marina. Sorry, right here, right beside it. All right, so let's go back in here on this marina. Let's see what else we can find. We've got some more debris that's back in here. So this could be a pretty good little bank line to fish. It looks like it has some pretty good stuff on it. You've got some additional like unique rock over here. You've got a pretty good laydown that's right in there. And then back in here, I just wanted to check this because if you look at it, it's very unique. It's like this huge boulder that's right here. There's no other boulders in the area. It's just the only one that's there. I think it's a boulder. It could be some kind of debris, but whatever it is, It provides shade for the fish. It provides really good cover for the fish. It's kind of more towards the back end of the cove. So springtime, things like that, early fall or late fall, definitely good times to go back there and see if you can find anything relating back to that boulder. All right, so let's keep moving out. We get off into this point. Obviously, just a really good point to fish around. I went ahead and just marked it as a point. I could have said rock because there is some pretty good rock here, but just curious. I'm not sure what is going on here. It looks like maybe an old boat ring up, possibly. I don't know what it is, but it's a point and it's got a really good hard spot on the edge of it. So I could see that being a very decent point to go fish around. All right, so let's go ahead and move on up. I'm going to finish right here off the tip of this point, and we're going to come back and finish this one up with multiple videos, obviously, because we have so many waypoints to talk about on this lake. But as we move here and we go around this point, again, some pretty good little rock piles, one right there, one right there. And then we're going to swoop around to this point. So right here's the resort. We're going up from the resort, marina. We're now in this little pocket here. As we get up here, we've also got the same type thing. See how the rock formation totally changes? And then if you look right here, this one sticks out really far, almost like there's another one of those big boulders that's there. The other thing I like about this point is you've got these little ledges here. So depending on how high the water gets up, if it gets up high enough, you're going to have a pretty decent little ledge that's shallow. But it's a big enough ledge where it creates that shade line, and that's really what you're looking for. So definitely something that you want to check out. As you move back in here, you've just got some laydowns and some timber and some more timber in here. So if that timber thing is where it's at, you could just isolate all of these check marks real quick and just pick your wood, and that's going to give you all the timber and all the laydowns that are on this lake. So I haven't really talked about it on the video yet, but make sure to go out and check out my website, simplisticfishing.com. You can pick up all these waypoints for an SD card to plug right into your graph, import them in, and you'll have them while you're out there in the lake. It'll definitely change the way that you fish. It definitely does for me, for sure. So definitely go out there and check it out, simplisticfishing.com. All right, so let's keep moving over. We talked about the timber and everything that was there. Now we're going to go back and put all of our waypoints on. We've got some more rock that's over here. These are just really big boulders that stick out, right? It's those unique things, those things that are different than everything else around it. Obviously, there's a lot of rock, but those are unique little formations that you want to fish around. You've also got some more timber up in here. So again, if that pattern's going good, just select the timber and you'll find that all the timber and the laydowns and the stick ups too, those are all going to be together. You've also got some more laydowns that are out here. So right here on this image, you can't tell. But when I move this back to 2011, now you can really tell it's right here. So that might not be a laydown. That might actually be a brush pile. In fact, I need to move that down just a hair. That could be a brush pile possibly as well. I like it because it's a sandy bank line. There's not a lot going on. And that's like one spot out of a very large area that actually has some cover for them to relate to. So definitely go take a look at that. That looks like it could be a pretty decent little spot. There's some stuff over here off this point too. I can't tell what it is. Almost looks like a tire or something. But I couldn't really mark it for you because I just wasn't sure what it was. But definitely something to go look at. All right, so let's zoom this back. I told you we were going to go over here to the edge of this point. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to end right here where it says rock. And I'm going to change the icon, but I want to show this to you first before I do that. As we move up here, look at why I'm saying rock here. Look at how different this is. You've got a transition area right here. So it transitions from basically sand and mud to this really chunky, rocky area. And then it transitions back out into a different kind of dirt or sand over here on this side, more of a harder type bottom. So this spot right here, just fishing this area right here, that's going to be your primo spot to fish when you're fishing here for sure. And you're kind of on a river swing or a river channel coming through here. So you're definitely going to have a really good hot spot going on right there in that area, right where I put the rock, right where I labeled it as rock, having a hard time talking. So let's go ahead and change this icon real quick. So that way, when we come back next time, we know where to start. So we'll start right there on rock. Again, make sure to go out and check out my site, simplisticfishing.com. And what we'll do is we'll keep updating these videos until we get Lake Belton completely broke down. Hopefully it helps you guys out. Until next time, hope you catch your PB. Take it easy.